A very warm welcome and a good morning to all the distinguished panelists, participants of this a very important session of the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce. Friends, a few words about TIC and what is TIC's mandate, role in promoting defense manufacturing in India. TIC is the second oldest DFI in India, formed in 1949. TIC 1.0 for the initial 72 years, 1949 to 2021, laid the foundation of the industrial development of Tamil Nadu. Our first chairman went on to become the Union Finance Minister. We have stalwarts like the former Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, late Shri Kamraj, on our board of directors. If what Tamil Nadu is today, it is because of the stellar contribution of TIC in its first avatar as TIC 1.0. Now, to be relevant contemporary, TIC 2.0 is looking at the future trends, future opportunities. And one of those very exciting opportunities is defense manufacturing in India. The twin guiding principles for TIC will be the Atmanirbhar India, Make in India, clarion call of the Honorable Prime Minister of India. And the second, the vision of our Honorable Chief Minister to make Tamil Nadu a 1 trillion economy by 2030. As a part of the strategy, TIC has entered into historic MOU with SIDM, the Society for Indian Defence Manufacturers. As a part of this MOU, we will act as a bridge between the requirements of the defense forces, all the three wings, Navy, Army, Air Force, and the technical capability of our MSMEs in Tamil Nadu. I'd like to highlight that the defense corridor of Tamil Nadu is a brownfield corridor, which means that we have existing technical excellence, technical prowess, proven capabilities on all the 5 nodes, which can easily be configured for the requirements of the defense forces. As a part of the Atmanirbhar India, the Honorable Prime Minister has recently restructured the 200-year-old Ordnance Factory Board into 7 PSUs and given them very clear targets for domestic production as well as for exports. So the domestic production of Tamil Nadu will target both the domestic requirements of the armed forces as well as export markets. Now, what are the key strengths which investors will look in Tamil Nadu and find that the USP of Tamil Nadu is unbeatable? TIC, first point is the partnership which TIC has formed with various stakeholders and the synergistic platform which TIC has forged with other sister institutions like TIDCO, Guidance Bureau, SIDCO, to name a few. We will move in tandem. TIDCO, the Tamil Nadu Industrial Development Corporation, Guidance will look at the big ticket items. Recently, TIDCO has signed with General Electric a MOU, a pact for having a center of excellence at a value about 146 crores. This center of excellence, joint venture between TIDCO and GE, will look at the futuristic manufacturing of the aerospace components with particular focus on additive manufacturing. Guidance Bureau will provide the single window clearance and all the needed facilitation for investors in this sector to invest in Tamil Nadu. Worldwide, friends will appreciate that if any country has moved on the natural glide path, the natural progression from to defense manufacturing, it has to have an auto base. And which state but Tamil Nadu has got the strength for the Detroit of Tamil Nadu, of India, South Asia. So with the strength in auto manufacturing, we can make the natural progression in any of the sectors requirements of the defense forces. Takes role, we would promote champion industries in each of the 25 nodes. We identified 20 such champion industries. One of our esteemed delegates, participants today is Mr. Sundaram. He's a role model for the MSMEs. His partnership with Boeing is stuff of legends in the market. And not only Mr. Sundaram, here I'd like to acknowledge on this forum the role of the next generation from his family, from his concern, who are into the defense manufacturing. In particular, his daughter, Ms. Uday Bharti. I've interacted with the young lady. They are the future entrepreneurs, the future industrialists, the future thought leaders of India, who will consolidate and make India a dominant player in defense manufacturing, both for the domestic as well as the international export markets. As a part of this initiative to take the message of the opportunities in defense manufacturing, TEC organizes a series of industry growth conclaves. The first such conclave was in Coimbatore in month of September. The next industry growth conclave is being organized in Trishnapalli on the 18th. It will be chaired by 3 honorable ministers of Govt of Tamil Nadu, with a very special focus on the capability of Trishnapalli for heavy engineering and fabrication. It's got a capacity about 7 lakh metric tons. The best in class talent, skill pool and ability in high pressure welding, high class welding. Trishnapalli can be serviced by 3 ports: the Chennai port, the Karaikal port on the east coast, and the Cochin port on the west coast for handling the MENA markets. I request the delegates in today's session to please participate in this growth conclave in Trichy. We have the topmost talent in the defense sector coming and addressing the 400 odd MSMEs there on the various opportunities. So friends, with this kind of approach, with this dynamic leadership of the Honorable Chief Minister, Tamil Nadu is well poised to be the dominant force in the field of defense manufacturing. All the potential investors, potential joint venture partners, please look not beyond Tamil Nadu. And you have a very proactive bureaucracy here. The agencies, TEC, TIDCO, Guidance, SIDCO will handhold you in any of your ventures, in any of the issues you face. The best talent pool is available in Tamil Nadu. The throughput per employee is the highest in Tamil Nadu. I have spent long years in the industry sector and I have interacted with various industries, both at India level, abroad level, and I found the talent pool and the throughput of the Tamil Nadu employees is one of the biggest attractions for any potential investors. The talent is there. The geographical spread of the industries is there. The intent is there. The dynamic leadership of the Honorable Chief Minister is there. All the variables are in place for Tamil Nadu to establish itself as the dominant player in defense manufacturing. And just not going to be aerospace. Across the entire spectrum of the requirements of the 3 wings of the armed forces, the Navy, the Air Force, and the Army, Tamil Nadu's industries, MSMEs will provide you the necessary technical base, the skill base, the manufacturing base for your ventures to be successful. So come, please partner with Tamil Nadu. Let us grow together and let us make the vision of the Honorable Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu and the Atmanirbhar campaign of the Honorable Chief Minister of Prime Minister of India a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hansraj Verma. It was indeed a very encouraging speech delivered by you. And I guess entrepreneurs and industrialists are very happy to hear this coming from the top bureaucrat in Tamil Nadu. Your speech gave a very broad idea and a very good glimpse about the initiatives taken by the Government of India and the Government of Tamil Nadu in particular to encourage manufacturing, especially with a focus on the defense sector. I think you have given us a lot of details about what is available in Tamil Nadu and why Tamil Nadu could be a favored destination for defense-based industries. Thank you, sir. Now we will move on to the main session. And for that, I would like to introduce the moderator for today's session, Dr. Vinod Surana, Managing Partner and CEO, Surana and Surana International Attorneys, Chennai. Dr. Vinod Surana is the Managing Partner and CEO of Surana and Surana International Attorneys. He is a qualified attorney from prestigious institutions like Harvard, Cornell, London School of Economics, and IIM. He was the co-chairman of ASSOCHAM Southern Region Development Council for the period 2015 to 2021. Surana and Surana International Attorneys completes 50 years in 2021 and has a pan-India client base. Dr. Vinod Surana is listed among 100 legal luminaires of India by LexisNexis and recognized as leading M&A lawyer by Chambers and Partners. Dr. Vinod Surana has successfully conceptualized and advocated for defense manufacturing corridor in Tamil Nadu, the first and only of the two such corridors in India. He's been a member of the advisory committee formed by the government of Tamil Nadu in 2018 for setting up the defense and aerospace ecosystem and promoting defense manufacturing clusters in Tamil Nadu. Dr. Vinod Surana, over to you to take the session forward.
Thank you, President. Honorable Chief Guest of today's webinar, Mr. Hansraj Verma, Chairman of IACC, Tamil Nadu Chapter, Mr. Arun Miranda, distinguished members of IACC, learned panelists, attendees from the MSME as well as the various industries across India and the United States, dear friends. I am delighted to be a part of this webinar, which is being conducted in partnership with the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce on a topic of great national interest and international significance, namely India-USA defense collaboration. Also significant is the fact that the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce, Tamil Nadu, and the Surana and Surana law firm complete 50 years this year. Friends, it is well known that defense spending is directly proportionate to the size of the economy, that domestic content in defense production is directly linked to local R&D, and the MSME contributes to more than 50% of all defense equipment and components. It is also well known that while governments see offsets as leveraging buying power to create a defense manufacturing base for self-reliance, the private sector sees offsets as a route to integrate into global defense supply chains and develop new business verticals. The Indian government has set a target for defense production in India at $25 billion, including $5 billion for exports by 2025 and has brought various attractive schemes to achieve this target. Capacity development, skilling, technology transfer, information dissemination, policy and fiscal support are some of the steps taken in that direction by the government. I have myself had the honor and opportunity to see firsthand how proactive the government is at the central and state level when I conceptualized, advocated, and was able to swiftly get the government to establish India's first defense manufacturing corridor in Tamil Nadu. Defense relations between India and USA have emerged as a major pillar of strategic partnership with the signing of the new framework for Indo-US defense relations in 2005, resulting in very intense defense interactions, joint exercises, personnel exchanges between the three forces, collaboration and cooperation on maritime counter-privacy, among other areas. In 2016, India was recognized by the United States as a major defense partner, thus enjoying some of the benefits of US treaty allies, including high-tech defense technology access and deeper military cooperation. Naturally, defense trade between India, which was almost zero in 2008, has crossed $18 billion today. This is a sign of things to come. This webinar is also in the context of the government of Tamil Nadu's commitment to make Tamil Nadu a $1 trillion economy in the next few years. And defense manufacturing is supposed to play a very significant part of this growth. We look forward to our esteemed panelists and more importantly to the question and answer sessions which are to follow thereafter. The format for today's webinar is that each panelist will share his views and insights on an aspect of defense manufacturing in the Indo-US defense cooperation context for about 8 to 10 minutes. And then we will have question and answer sessions. Now, with those few introductory remarks, I have great pleasure in welcoming our first panelist, General Rohit Gupta, who is the head of Aerospace and Defence Practice at Primus Partners. General Rohit Gupta has over 37 years of experience in the Indian Army, where he led counterinsurgency operations and operations at the line of control. He has had more than a decade's experience at the integrated headquarters of the Ministry of Defence and retired as the additional DG Weapons and Equipment, responsible for procurement of defense equipment on capital route for the Indian Army. As part of the integrated headquarters, he handled strategic project worth more than 2.4 lakh crores for all the three services, including modernization of BMPs, procurement of additional T-90 tanks, procurement of the K-9 Dhanush, the Spike missiles, mini UAVs, etc. He was a part of the formulation committee for drafting of the DPP 2016 and DPP 2020 and is thorough with the complete procurement process. He has a master's in defense strategy and he is having special expertise in enablement of defense capabilities. He is decorated by the award of the Sena Medal, the Army Commander Northern Command Commemoration, and the Order de Mono by President of Togo. I request Major General Gupta to share his insights and views on trade opportunities in defense and procurement collaboration, among other areas. Over to you, General Rohit Gupta.
Thank you, Dr. Surana. You've been most kind while speaking about me. During my 10 minutes, I will touch upon aspects in defense procurement pertaining primarily to the capital budget expenditure as impinged upon by the geostrategic situation and the drive for indigenization in India. I would end with some under-the-radar evolving opportunities. The rise of China is inevitable. It is only that in its upward course, sufficient checks are imposed to encourage an internal self-correct to its outward belligerence. The revival of the Quad and the more recent AUKUS are cautionary steps in that direction. India, with the centrality of geostrategic location in the Indo-Pacific, as well as the only country in the Quad sharing a land boundary with China, makes it a key to US plans. Arming India with cutting-edge technology becomes imperative. The foundational agreements with the US, along with the industrial security annexure, paves the way for India as an active participant in the US Comprehensive Global Strategic Partnership. While all these are enablers, the CATSA casts a short shadow on future relationships. In this, the US must accept the compulsions of India with its large inventory of Russian origin equipment and its necessity to quickly arm itself with deterrence capabilities. India has no latitude to forsake old contracts with Russia, and in fact, we would see additional ones on the horizon. Embargoes, restrictions are now passive. Let us have a look as to what has happened in defense imports into India. The latest data on global arms transfer by SIPRI shows Indian arms import have come down by 33% in the period 2016 to 20 as compared to the preceding 5 years. Interestingly, imports from Russia dipped from a large 72% share of the kitty, but it still has the lion's share of 49% now. Israel increased by 82% and now accounts for 14% of the share, and France, courtesy the Rafale, increased by 709% as now is 12% of the share. While USA was the second largest in 2015, its share fell by 46% in the subsequent period, and it is no longer in the top 3 defense exporters to India. It indicates that the US has not been able to cash on the decreasing share of Russia and has been displaced by Israel and France. This is possibly due to the previous reluctance to share niche technology, which had been removed by the Indo-US enabling agreements. The dictative FMS norms still hold sway. However, some flexibility is on the cards and has been experienced. All this is positive indicators. It also indicates a diversification move by India, which keeps geostrategic implication in context. We could look at the figures another way. US defense trade with India has increased from a near zero in 2008 to over $20 billion in 2020. Exponential increase, especially with the enabling agreements, is now well on the cards. It is pertinent to say that the pie is large. India's 2021 budget is $66.95 billion. This has also catered to an increase of about 10% in capital expenditure. However, 63% of the capital outlay is for indigenously produced equipment, which is perceived as a damper by foreign companies. Let's look at this. A lot has been said as to how the positive indigenization list of 209 items, which is actually the erstwhile negative list of imports, is now going to imply no further role for foreign companies. Yes, the tax will not be given to foreign companies as lead agencies for these 209 items. However, it does not imply that they have no role to play. For this, let us have a look at the procurement categories in DAP 2020. These 209 items are going to be either of the 2 categories having precedence and reserved only for Indian industry. That is, Buy Indian IDDM or the Buy Indian category. In these 2 categories, the foreign content allowed is 50 and 40% respectively. Given the nature of this list, it normally should not come to the 3rd Indian category, that is Buy and Make Indian. Even if it does so, 50% of the foreign content is allowed in the make portion of this category. Most products on the 209 list are not yet wholly Indian manufactured. the foreign companies will still have a collaborative role with the contracted Indian company in any one of the categories, even in the 209 list. The list makes it clear that the foreign companies need to get in collaboration with Indian companies if they want to participate in these restricted defense contracts. The clarity that the list offers are enablers towards planning and execution tie-ups. It is of essence that these collaborations must be firmed in beforehand and not after the RFP has been issued, as also the collaboration must have long-term resilience. In addition, the foreign companies, especially USA, must be prepared to transfer some technology. Let's have a look at the balance of the two categories: buy global manufacture in India and buy global. Buy global, which is an outright purchase from a foreign provider, appears to now have future only in government-to-government aided deals and emergent procurement. Buy global manufacture in India still has relevance in open cases, where in a contract is given to a foreign company for an initial outright purchase of the portion of the order, followed by indigenous manufacture in a joint venture with an Indian production agency. Interestingly, the manufacture in India could also be done through the subsidiary of the foreign contracted company established in India, which may well be under the 74% FDI liberalization policy in defense. In this also, a 50% foreign content is allowed. Let us now have a look at the 74% FDI in defense sector on the automatic route. This encourages foreign companies to set up and manufacture in India while having control over their product IPR. However, it does not allow for these companies to participate in Buy Indian IDDM, which is the foremost category in precedence, Make One and Make Two, as well as in strategic partnerships. However, for the rest of the categories, these companies are eligible. For the restricted category, what it does is provide a greater indigenization content to the product being provided by the Indian company when the foreign company is in collaboration and manufacturing in India. These FDI companies could also provide their product through a front-end participant on collaboration. It's an enabler policy given by the government. Make 3 is an import substitution category which encourages Indian industry to collaborate with foreign OEMs and manufacturers under the transfer of technology. It allows for 40% foreign content. Here is an opportunity to tie up, especially with MSMEs and startups, which are high on technology scale. Next is the strategic partnership model, which offers the avenue for foreign OEMs to be in a tie-up with the Indian system integrator to provide high-end complex products. It is possible that this model in time will be followed for all major equipments, as it offers scope for surety of contact, which in turn enables financing, foreign tie-ups, handholding by the MOD and user through the process. This is seeing execution in the contract for the P-75I submarines, and next on the anvil is the FRCV or the MBT, for which the EOI is out. A large portion of the defense aerospace sector would look at this model, including aero engines. The model also throws up a vibrant ecosystem in which the complete defense sector, to include tier 2 and 3 players, MSMEs and startups, thrive with better technology collaborations. We also have on the anvil the ordnance factories, which have been restructured and have greater autonomy for reaching out for collaboration. In fact, with ordnance factory corporatization, as well as the intended privatization of DPSUs, strategic partnership between a government-owned restructured manufacturer, Indian private company, and a foreign OEM technology provider, possibly with a subsidiary in India, is on the cards for all complex systems of system products which one company in any case cannot provide. Opportunities for collaboration are many. The field is open, as I have iterated. Besides the big ones which are known, I would mention few which largely pass under the radar. The Indian defense electronics sector will grow to an estimated $70 billion in the next 15 years. It is necessity in all fields of defense, and its dual usage in the private sector provides inherent resilience. India is intended to become a global hub for MRO for defense and civil aircrafts. It also includes aerospace test facilities. In fact, an opportunity for collaborative engine manufacture extending to its maintenance is there. It is likely to increase from 100 million to approximately $300 million in 3 years. This is in addition to the collaborative structure being put in for the manufacture of the AMCA as well as the aero engines. The demand for material for defense and aerospace use is approximately $190 billion. India does not produce a special grade of alloys, as also lacks manufacturing capability for aramid fibers used in aerospace, which will exponentially grow. Semiconductor fabrication is a project of national importance. We need silicon and gallium nitride production capabilities. Let me also highlight a quasi-defense opportunity, and that is the safety and security industry. The drivers for the industry are an investment of $1.9 billion in the next 5 years through the National Infrastructure Pipeline, and a transport industry growing at 8 to 12% CAGR, all leading to resultant measures for its protection and safety. Exponentially mushrooming drone industry, for which traffic and access control is essential, an unstable border of about 10,000 kilometers requiring both hardware and software for access control, internal challenges necessitating facial recognition systems, all point at an industry which is growing at 25 to 30% and currently valued at $2.5 to $3 billion. All this, besides the hardware, also comes on the backbone of data flow, its analysis, AI-aided decision capabilities, and dissemination to execution agencies in real time. Collaboration fields are open on this aspect. Outer space is the next frontier. Conflict will be in and for space. This also has civil and military dual utility, providing resilience to investing companies. With establishment of New Space India Limited as a commercial arm, the in-space providing friendly regulatory mechanism encouraging private sector participation, especially startups, and the defense space agencies, the field is open for foreign technology participation, especially from USA. International collaboration in defense testing and simulation would be valuable, especially with the ongoing objective of setting up nodal defense testing centers in India. With this, I come to an end to my exposition. Thank you for the opportunity to share my views with an elite panel and the guest participants. Over to you, Mr. Surana.
General Rohit Gupta, your address was very comprehensive, practical, pragmatic, and gave a lot of optimism for the industry. You were able to give us the trends up to now and how you see the projections in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you very much. I now have great pleasure in introducing and welcoming our next panelist, Mr. Jagmohan Singh, who is the Regional Director of Lockheed Martin India Private Limited. Mr. Singh has a very distinguished background from his very young days. He was the recipient of the prestigious Sword of Honor and Gold Medal for being the best overall cadet and standing first in order of merit at the prestigious Officers Training Academy in Chennai. He was awarded the commemoration card by the Chief of Army Staff for distinguished service in the Indian Army. He holds an MSc in Defense Studies and an MBA, apart from having done several technical courses from various defense institutes and universities. Before joining Lockheed Martin, he served the Indian Defense Forces for over 23 years, commanding air defense units and leading counter-insurgency operations. His wide exposure to defense equipment and weapons systems on ships, submarines, aircraft, helicopters, and land-based platforms, including at the headquarters, integrated headquarters of the MOD, give him a unique insight capability excuse me, to formulate defense procurement policies, formulate qualitative requests and employment concepts. I request Mr. Jagmohan Singh to kindly share his views and his insights on defense collaborations, joint ventures, technology transfers, among other areas. Over to you, Mr. Jagmohan Singh.
Thank you, Dr. Surana, for the introductions, and good morning to everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity to share my views on the defense collaborations between India and US. Today's topic for discussions is very relevant, and I would like to highlight a few aspects related to US-India industrial cooperation and related aspects. The Indian government has been focusing efforts to refine the policies and procedures for undertaking military modernization, as General Gupta has just now spoken. The intent of the government is to encourage private and government industry to take lead in producing military solutions and make India self-reliant. The Indian companies are looking at acquiring critical technologies and enhancing manufacturing capabilities for the domestic industry. Since most of the Indian companies are at the nascent stage for developing critical technologies, they look forward for collaboration with suitable foreign technology partners. Many US-based OEMs and technology partners also are keen to collaborate with Indian companies to develop and produce world-class equipment. Earlier, the presence of US companies in India was limited. However, during the last 15 years or so, Indo-US relations have matured to a great extent, and industrial cooperation has also been progressing exponentially. Most of the roadblocks in sharing the technologies have been cleared due to consistent efforts of both the governments. With signing of foundational agreements like LIMOA, CAMCASA, BECA, etc., it has become easy for the industry to get necessary technology release approvals. As Dr. Surana mentioned a short while ago, in 2016, USA designated India as a major defense partner, and later India was elevated to Strategic Trade Authorization Tier Status 1, which allows India to have access to a wide range of military and dual-use technologies. In 2019, India signed Industrial Security Agreement with USA that enables sharing of classified military information between defense industries of both the countries, and to protect the classified information through implementation of various policies and procedures. Both the governments have established various forums and mechanisms for periodic reviews to ease the industry collaboration and promote cooperation. The Defense Policy Group, Defense Procurement and Production Group, and various other bilateral groups give policy level directions for defense cooperation, transfer of technology, defense collaborations, and resolve policy related issues. Another framework, Defense Technology and Trade Initiative, that has also been established for resolving the issues impeding cooperation and promoting co-development projects of mutual interest to both the countries. Both the governments have stated quite often that they are committed to further strengthen their broad-ranging and robust defense cooperation. The main intention is to realize the full potential of the Indo-US Comprehensive Global Strategic Partnership. The new defense acquisition policy, as General Gupta has mentioned, it emphasizes on indigenous design, development, and manufacturing type of projects. US industries aligned well with the Indian industry to explore the possibility of supporting most of such programs. We have also been suggesting refinement of policies and various terms and conditions to enable the industry to develop such solutions as per the customer expectations. Participation in upgrades, life cycle support, maintenance program, etc. also offers a good business potential for Indian industry as well as global OEMs and technology partners. US industry has already been in forefront to support Indian customers and industry by offering niche technologies. Many companies have established joint ventures, partnerships, R&D centers in India. As far as Lockheed Martin is concerned, we have good examples of supporting Make in India concepts. Lockheed has a large number of partners and potential suppliers in India. We have two joint ventures with Tata's to manufacture large aerostructures of C-130J aircrafts and cabins of S-92 helicopters. More than 500 suppliers, including over 140 MSMEs, feed into our two joint ventures. This month, some of you might have heard, Lockheed Martin formally recognized Tata Lockheed Martin Aerostructures Limited as a potential future co-producer of fighter aircraft wings. These are one of the most technologically complex aerostructures. Lockheed has also worked with the Ashok Leyland in Chennai to develop next generation military vehicles for India and global market. One of such vehicles called light bulletproof vehicles has already been inducted into Indian Air Force recently. Lockheed Martin's engineering support and cooperative working relationship with Ashok Leyland was instrumental for the successful development and production of indigenous equipment. We also have partnerships with many government and private companies to fulfill offset obligations and intend to participate in most of the upcoming development programs. We are interested to supporting most of the large development programs which are being progressed through strategic partnership model. There is much more to go and do here in India, and as far as industrial cooperation is concerned, we are very pleased to have partnership with Indian companies, and we believe that India has a right skill set and infrastructure to take it from there. That's it from me. Thanks for the patience to listen to my views, and I will be happy to give any respond to any queries. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Jagmohan Singh. You gave a very good overview. There are questions already coming in. How can we get in touch with the panelists? How can we become suppliers to the OEMs and things like that? So we will take those up during the Q&A session. Now I would like to invite our next speaker, Mr. N. Ramachandran, who is the president of the Aerospace and Defence Development Association of Tamil Nadu, called IDAT. He has more than 40 years of experience in the electronics industry in varied capacities and is currently the managing director of MEL Systems, a company engaged in automation and control, defense electronics, and automatic test equipment. Mr. Ramachandran is an electronics graduate from the Madras Institute of Technology, Chennai, and has a management education from the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, School of International Management. He has undergone management development programs in International Trade Center, Geneva, and attended programs at the Duke of Edinburgh Program for Future Leaders in Australia. Mr. Ramachandran is currently the president of IDAT and a member of the National Executive Council of the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce. He is also a recipient of numerous awards, including the Outstanding Alumnus Award from the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, Distinguished Alumnus Award from the Anna University, Lifetime Achievement Award in Electronics from Electronics for You magazine, and Lifetime Achievement Award from the Electronics Maker magazine. Over to you, Mr. Ramachandran.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Dr. Surana, for this nice introduction. I'm actually speaking from California, so for me it's in the evening. The chairman, Mr. Miranda, Mr. Verma. I think, Mr. Verma, we have had a very good interaction when you were at the IT secretary, and we are grateful to you for all the help you extended. So from IDAT, we are really wanting to kind of seek the same kind of help from you. We will do that. I'm going to spend a couple of months here. On my return, I'll come and meet you, sir, and take your help. Thank you very much. And your encouraging inputs today was very, very encouraging. Thank you very much. Mr. Jagmohan Singh, I'm very happy to get to see you again after 3 years. I think last time when we met was in your factory in the US, and you were so helpful in organizing our delegation at that time. Thank you, sir, and then hope to be in touch. General Gupta and my dear friends, Mr. Soundararajan and Mr. Sundaram. I'm extremely pleased to be here talking to you people. As Dr. Surana mentioned, I'm wearing both the hats of IACC and IDAT. We are very pleased from both these organizations to be part of this seminar and in collaboration with Surana and Surana. In fact, in terms of Indo-US trade, in 2018, IACC, we led a delegation of almost 16 defense-related industrial delegation to US. We spent 2 weeks meeting a lot of people, including Lockheed Martin, Boeing, and all that. Is quite a successful trip. And so IACC, it's nice to see they continue to focus on this industry, and I'm sure they'll be a great help to the industry in Tamil Nadu. A quick introduction to IDAT. IDAT is an association of aerospace and defense industries in Tamil Nadu. We have about 120 odd members. Of course, quite a lot of them are MSMEs. So today, I presume that the emphasis on or the focus of the seminar is on MSMEs. So I would spend a little more time on that part. In fact, we have some of the larger members who really are very helpful to the rest of the MSME members. And so we have a very good combination of big brothers helping the MSME industries. So this is an association formed about 5 years back and growing. And we are primarily focused only on aerospace and defense, and our membership is only from Tamil Nadu. So it's a very focused organization. So the government of Tamil Nadu, TITCO, all of them have been extremely helpful for growing this organization, and I'm sure we will get a lot more help in the future. In fact, as Mr. Verma said, now TIC is going through TIC number 2, and so I'm sure there'll be a dramatic increase in their help to the industry. Thank you, sir. As I mentioned, we have a lot of members of MSME here. We have, done some soul searching in terms of what is the real market offered for the MSMEs. It's not really the major platform contracts from the armed forces, because those are all will be done by either big boys in India or MNCs. So we have just listed out some of the markets for MSMEs, which will be like members themselves. In fact, amongst our members, there is a good market available, because if there is LMW, they buy many things, so our members can benefit, or Larsen Toubro, or L&T Shipping. In fact, I must say that my dear friend, Mr. Sundaram, we did an automation job for him. So it's a very good, exchange of ideas as well as business amongst our members. Then there are the public sector units. Then there are a lot of new Indian private platform companies are coming up. You have people like L&T, Mahindra, Tata's. All these platform companies will provide a lot of business for MSMEs. Offsets can be a good business, like Colonel Jagmohan Singh talked about it. The newly structured ordnance factory board companies will be another major market. Another market which the MSMEs so far have really ignored is the maintenance market of the forces. It's a major market. I think amongst the 3 services, I'm sure they spend more than 30,000 crores every year on maintenance. Of course, maybe a big percentage of that would be really coming from overseas in terms of repairing the platforms which were imported from there, but there are a lot of business available there. Then the DRDO, then the new concepts like IDEX and exports. So what we are doing in IDAT is that we are looking at each one of these areas and see how to bridge our members and the industry in Tamil Nadu, bridge them with the specific markets in these areas which I described. So we are doing this step by step. We're organizing, webinars with, individual members of these categories which I mentioned. We're trying to organize some physical seminars, visits to them. We have organized already some visits to DRDO labs. Then we are now working closely with the Tamil Nadu government in terms of setting up a Tamil Nadu corridor pavilion at the TIFF Expo. This time it's going to be fairly large. In fact, normally we would do it around 200, 250 square meters, but this time it's going to be about 700 plus square meters. It's going to be a very large show, in terms of Tamil Nadu corridor being represented at the TIFF Expo this year. We are working very closely with the Tamil Nadu government in organizing this. In terms of US, which is the subject, in terms of US, in relevance to MSMEs are, again, as I mentioned, the platforms, offsets, maintenance, etc., because a lot of US-based equipment have come to India. I'm sure many of them, their warranty period is getting over, and then there's going to be a lot of maintenance work, involved in these things. In fact, from our company, in terms of testing, we are already kind of involved in one or two of such projects. I'm sure there'll be a lot of opportunity coming up for MSMEs in this area. US can really be a major partner because of many of the new contracts are coming up in terms of aircrafts. You have helicopters. Then you have coming up with the second aircraft carrier is going to be built with US technology. So there'll be a lot of interaction there. So with this in mind, IDAT, with the help of the Tamil Nadu government, is planning to participate in the Boeing vendor show in Seattle in the month of April. The idea is to, Boeing has a very good sourcing office in Bangalore, and they're very strong in India. But the idea is to link up through them with their tier 1 and tier 2 suppliers, because they, in the given cost structures, will also be wanting to, look at or outsourcing their parts to India. So we are planning to look at that aspect, taking the help of Boeing to get introduced to the tier 1, tier 2 suppliers, and that could be open up a new market for the MSMEs in Tamil Nadu. And we are trying to organize this, as well as probably at that time there'll be a delegation. We will get in touch with Colonel Jagmohan Singh to seek his help to see whether we can meet some of their tier 1, tier 2 suppliers in the US. We will come back to you, sir. So these are many things which are trying very hard to do and work with all the government organization in Tamil Nadu. And I must say that over the last couple of years, there's a tremendous support coming from the Tamil Nadu government. They have, you've already seen it by listening to Mr. Verma. I think Tamil Nadu government is very keen on this industry, and their interest is to make Tamil Nadu a leader in this industry. And IDAT, as an association, we are working very hard to be a part of this growth story, and then we would like to do whatever we can in this bit. Thank you very much, and I think that I would otherwise cross my time limit. Thank you, Dr. Surana, and I'm open to questions at the end of the session. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Ramachandran. Yes, I have myself been witness to IDAT's lot of work being done in Tamil Nadu, and you have given a good overview of how the MSME can get involved. You are also doing a lot of work to connect the MSMEs with the OEMs. Look forward to working with you on that. Now we go to our next speaker, next panelist, Mr. K. Soundararajan, who is a Director Operations at Lakshmi Machine Works Limited. Mr. Soundararajan graduated in 1971 in science and he joined Lakshmi Machine Works. This year he completes 50 years at LMW. Congratulations, sir, on that milestone. The Soundararajan has taken up various responsibilities during his tenure over 5 decades. He was responsible for setting up the Madras operations, which included import, export, shipping and clearance activities for LMW. In 2009, he moved to China as chairman of LMW Textile Machinery Suzhou Limited and established successful operations in China, set up a greenfield project for their plant there. In 2015, he moved back to India to lead the machine tool foundry divisions and advanced technology center as the president, machine tool division, foundry and ATC, Aerospace and Defence. Mr. Soundararajan is a highly respected member and highly acknowledged in industry circles. Over to you, Mr. Soundararajan.
Thank you very much, Dr. Surana, and Mr. Ansraj Verma, Mr. Arun Miranda, and the co-panelists. I am very happy to have this opportunity to be a part of such distinguished panelists. And thank you very much again, because this is at the right timing that this interaction is taking place, where it is not only in India they're talking about that 5 trillion economy, but also in Tamil Nadu, there is a great focus for making a kind of a 1 trillion economy by 2030. Tamil Nadu government is also fully geared up to achieve this target. So the atmosphere at this point of time is also very conducive to reach that target comfortably. To achieve this kind of a focus, the institutions of the Tamil Nadu government, which also was highlighted by Mr. Ansraj Verma, is really supportive to the industries, particularly to the MSMEs and small scale and also the micro industries. And this was clearly communicated by the Chief Minister when he came to Coimbatore to at this investors meet, and he categorically said whatever the support required for the industries in Tamil Nadu, he will extend all the help to make it a kind of a 1 trillion economy on 2030. When we talk about the defense corridor, the Tamil Nadu defense corridor has got the great advantage. Particularly, every nodal point has got its own high capability. When we talk about the Coimbatore, we have the highest number of the engineering colleges, and the density of the engineering colleges is not only high in India comparatively, and all over the world, I think Coimbatore will rank as #1 density of the engineering colleges, thereby creating the highest skilled people. And there are a lot of examples. Even the next nodal point, Salem, everyone knows about the aerospace engineers and other contributions which are all taking place. When the Tamil Nadu corridor has got that skills in Trichy, already Mr. Ansraj Verma has explained about the Trichy capability and various other Hosur and Madras, all those areas, they have their own capabilities. With this, there is a great opportunity for companies like Lockheed Martin, GE already are connected. Lockheed Martin, we are also working very close with them. Pratt & Whitney and many other American companies to set up joint ventures and work together with the leading companies. Particularly, they can have, once they have a kind of a joint venture or a technology partnership, it is not only supporting the major industries, but also an excellent ecosystem will be created around those companies, and that way the overall development will definitely take place in a big way. And when it comes to the infrastructure, when we talk about the skill development, we have given a great focus for the skill development in Coimbatore. And we at LMW, we have an institute called GKD ITR, where we work with Boeing to give a kind of a training program for 1 full year for the aerospace manufacturing and tooling. So that way we have a great advantage to have the small scale industries to come up in a nice manner. And also we are working with the ITIs in and around Coimbatore to see how GKD ITR, the Industrial Training Institute, can impart training to get these skill developments in a big way. And I don't have to repeat what Mr. Ansraj Verma has already mentioned, because on the financial and other infrastructural support, including the land and various other aspects, are all addressed by him. And in addition to TIIC, the DIC here, and also the CITCO and other industrial estates are all very friendly to develop such industries. That way, we can be very confidently saying that the infrastructure, the skill development can definitely enhance the possibilities to create world-class companies in this area. That way, I think already Mr. Jagmohan Singh has already mentioned about the various initiatives Lockheed Martin has taken up, and particularly when we talk about their developments which has been done by them on various initiatives on innovation and things like that. Lockheed Martin India had a supporting the innovations about more than what they call it, that public-private technology accelerator. I think that program was sponsored by them, and several business agreements have taken place, and it is of a great support to the industry. So in addition to that, when we talk about the possibility of having the US-India relationship is definitely becoming much better, already highlighted by many of our speakers, then I don't want to repeat everything now. Then we have a great advantage at this point of time to work together, and there are some relaxations have already taken place, and there are some policy changes have taken place. With all those policy changes and relaxations, it is very conducive to have greater tie-up with them, and now they are also prepared to have kind of a joint ventures and working together here, which will take us to the next level of manufacturing. The initiatives recently announced by the Biden on various supply chain initiatives, on critical supply chain actions, what they would like to take, will also help India to move the manufacturing to India to the maximum extent possible. So this is the need of the hour for India, where at this point of time, after pandemic, the economy is really booming now, and things have become almost normal and more than normal. And people are very keen to take things forward to the next level in the industry side. And we are very confident that it will be a good timing for us to take things forward. With this brief information, I thought I will, if any questions, answers we can handle later. Thank you for everybody for giving this opportunity from IACC, and Surana, thank you very much.
Most welcome, sir. Very short, very sweet, comprehensive. LMW is certainly a great institution in Coimbatore, and your contribution to the development of that wonderful organization is well known in the industry. Thank you for your comments, sir.
Thank you.
I now would like to call upon our final panelist, Mr. R. Sundaram, who is the Managing Director of Aerospace Engineers, to share his views and his experiences of joint ventures and success story as an MSME in defense manufacturing. Mr. Sundaram is a visionary and a dynamic entrepreneur. He is the founder cum managing director of Salem Aerospace Engineers with over 35 years of experience in aerospace and defence. He has provided motivational leadership and has put Salem on the global defence manufacturing map. His company has won several awards and recognitions for the highest quality standards over the years. The Center for Military Airworthiness and Certification has accorded airworthiness clearance for more than 1,200 approvals for use in various aircraft, helicopters, and missiles, including the BrahMos, the Agni, the Akash, and the latest long-range surface-to-air missile for rubber and composite components. He recently won a long-term contract from Boeing to manufacture and supply critical aviation components, and he has also won a 5-year contract with the Egyptian Armament Authority for supply of aerospace components. His company has received DRDO's Defense Technology Absorption Award, the MSME National Award for Innovation, the Industry Award for Excellence from the Institution of Engineers, among many others. Over to you, Mr. Sundram, to please share with us your views and your insights.
Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Vinod Surana. Respected Chairman TAEC, sir. Thank you, sir. And my dear brothers and my elder brother, Soundarajan, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you for quoting me. And as an MSME, I created the venture in 1988. That initial period, I was working with the industrial companies like power sectors, oil field and all. 91 onwards, I entered into aerospace, defense aerospace. Initial days, I was working with the DRDO and Hindustan Aeronautics Limited for making the rubber parts. And slowly, 2010 onwards, I entered into metallic segments. They are making small LRUs like lubrication oil pump, for advanced light helicopter, light combat helicopter, light utility helicopter, even Tejas. It's a flying with our lubrication oil pump, shut-off valve, dump valve, and hydraulic hoses, like that, sir. And it's a fantastic opportunity provided by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited and DRDO. And we graduated with composite manufacturing also, and we entered into BrahMos, Akash, Agni, LRSM, MRSM missiles and all, sir. And with this capability, we entered into Airbus and Boeing also as a tier 2 vendors. And we developed some parts for rubber and metal to rubber bonded and metallic components and composites for Airbus and Boeing as a tier 2 vendor. And recently, the Boeing has approved us as a tier 1 vendor, and they accorded for 2,500 parts for longer LDBA, like that, for getting the metallic segment, hydraulic segment, and the rubber to metal bonded parts, like that, sir. And here, the support from the big brothers like Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, DRDO, and even LMW, L&T in India is all really very great, sir. And recent days, sir, in my experience, I was in the field for more than 33 years. In the recent days, after this corona, it's a really great time for Indian SMEs, sir. Even the MNC companies like Airbus, Boeing, Eaton, Rolls-Royce, and Pratt and Whitney, and all, they are all educating us. They are giving good training to us. Earlier days, they are not listening Indian companies. Nowadays, they are all focusing Indian companies, and they are giving training to us. Even Boeing also, they are giving fantastic training to our team. And we are all getting graduated from the technical capabilities and also. And we are working with the Tata Lockheed Martin also through Hyderabad, and Tata Boeing also we are working, sir. And this is a fantastic time, and our MSME should enter into aerospace and defense pool. There is a big vacuum available in this, sir. So many systems reserved for through Atmanirbhar Bharat, more than 400-500 system, army, naval, air systems and all. If the systems, if we are developing in domestically, we can cut imports and we can start supplying domestically to our Indian service, these things, Air Force, Army, like that. That is my experience, sir. And we are keep on developing the product for new part development, new system development like that. And with the collaboration with the IIT and DRDO's institute, and so many education institutes are supporting us, sir. And rightly, Mr. Vinod Surana told that Egypt Armament Authority, with this experience, we approached Egyptian government and we got a long-term business contract for Egyptian Armament Authority for their Air Force requirements for a period of 5 years, sir. So like that, we can get developed the product or systems in India and taking care of our Indian requirements. Parallelly, we are getting an opportunity to export our projects, export our this thing. That's our experience. And in Tamil Nadu, as our CMD told, rightly told, Tamil Nadu is a good designation for these type of activities and also manufacturing and the critical this thing. Government also supporting like anything. Even the DIACC, they framed a separate scheme for our MSMEs, sir. So the longer duration and the rate of interest will be they giving for very low rate of interest for defense vendors. And these are all the opportunity we can make utilize this opportunity. And the newcomers like the startups and all, they can enter into aerospace and defense fields, sir. And the upcoming DEF Expo, we are participating in the 12th time. Right from first expo onwards, we are participating, sir. Now the 12th expo, DEF Expo is a grand expo. Our Tamil Nadu government is participating in a bigger way than Tamil Nadu Pavilion. And we are having around 3 times bigger than our last participants, sir. So like our IDOT president, Ramachandran sir told us, more than 700 meters we blocked, sir, through TITCO. And it is an opportunity to showcase our capabilities globally, and we can get some connectivity from either technology or the requirement or something. We can get the connectivity from the abroad industries, abroad buyers. And Mr. Soundarajan sir told about the skill development, and we are a small industry. We also started making a skill development center for 120 people, sir. We are recruiting 12th standard completed students, and we are giving a training for 2 areas, sir. Aerospace composite technician and aerospace CNC machinist. This syllabus we framed as per our requirement. We are going to give training for 6 months. It's a duly certified by Tamil Nadu Skill Development Corporation, and we are going to keep these students, qualified students, with us for our employment and also. So it is a great opportunity. Enter into aerospace and strengthening our Prime Minister vision Atmanirbhar Bharat. Our Honorable Tamil Nadu Chief Minister also giving Make in Tamil Nadu and giving a strength to Make in Tamil Nadu also, sir. And it's a great time to enter the newcomers and the existing companies also enter into aerospace and defense. Thank you very much. And we can stop imports and we can do the product domestically and we can go for self-reliance. Thank you very much. Thank you, Surana ji, for this opportunity provided to me. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Mr. Sundaram. It was wonderful. You are very optimistic, especially after the corona disruptions. You have given a very optimistic picture. Mr. Soundarajan also spoke about a very bright future for the Indian economy, and it is such observations from industry leaders like Mr. Soundarajan, like yourself and others, which gives the MSME a lot of encouragement and motivation. So thank you very much. To those, we come to an end of the formal sharing of views by the panelists, and now we have a few minutes for the question and answer session. We have a couple of questions, very interesting. One question which we have is by Commodore Vasan, who is the head of the Chennai Center for China Studies. He has put his question is, one common concern is that depending on the geostrategic developments, the supplier can always turn off the tap on critical spares. How can India ensure itself against such contingency, whether the Countering America's Adversities Through Sanctions Act, known as CATSA, or any other sanctions? Would there be serious issues? Please indicate how this could be addressed. So that is the question from Mr. Commodore Seshadri Vasan. Of course, General Rohit Gupta has said 3 points. One is diversification, second is indigenization, and third is international diplomacy. But I would like to put this question forward to the other panelists to see what their response would be. Would CATSA sanction the cloud of those in the background? Will they impact possible Indo-US collaborations? Mr. Jagmohan Singh.
Yes, thank you. I think rules and regulations of each country are different and they go as per that. And when both the governments start discussing, those issues could be resolved for the mutual interest of both the countries. These challenges have always been there. But I think with the the relationship between India and the US has grown to a great extent. I think we could be in a right place to resolve all these issues. And secondly, withdrawing the support, I think now if you look at co-development, co-production, and the participation in Make in India program, it is a mutual dependency on each other. If India is developing their own solutions and most of the programs are going to be Make in India, it could be, I think, resolved in future. I don't find any issues in the future, but it all depends on both the governments how they take it forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Ramachandran, would you have any views on that?
Yeah, I think, while I agree with Colonel Jagmohan Singh, but let's assume that there is going to be a, CATSAs against India or, someone else bans exports. But if you really recall, BARC and Space Program of India, it grew very well. I mean, I would say, though there was a delay, but it grew while there were sanctions. I think, I'm sure that Indian, both the scientists and the managers will find some way of, working through this. And as such, the already government is pushing very hard on Atmanirbharta and in key elements, including semiconductors. I think, especially defense, I'm sure that a government will find and help the industry to tackle this problem. Because if you recall, they set up a gallium arsenide facility in Hyderabad. ISRO has a semiconductor facility, even though it's not a very state of the art. I'm sure they can invest and bring up to that. So I'm sure that India will, just to answer Commodore Watson's thing, I'm sure we will find a way, but I'm sure this may delay some of our projects, but we will get over that. And I think today India is in fact, compared to the time when BARC and ISRO had to struggle, today India is in a much, much better situation to tackle any of these sanctions. We are an independent country, and I'm sure we should be able to take our decisions and not governed by, any other restrictions imposed by another. We are a sovereign nation. We don't want to be governed or dictated to by any other country. Thank you.
General Gupta, would you like to elaborate on your remarks which you had keyed in the chat box?
Absolutely, Mr. Surana. I totally agree with Mr. Ramachandran. There is no scope for a thing like CATSA to be imposed on India. India is too big a country to be imposed like that. In fact, it harms US more in terms of international trade than actually it harms India or even for Russia for that matter. These things are passé now. And the realization is dawning on US to a great extent. Now let's look at it. He said that in case it's imposed, there is no issues. Yes, there will be certain delays, but we must understand that today Israel produces spares for equipment which are of Russian origin. So does it do for the purposes of US origin. So saying that there will be no avenues for getting spares in case CATSA is imposed or anything of that sort is done is not there. The diversification of suppliers also that is available internationally. So I don't think this has a problem. And I think that realization is very much in US. They have a problem in this Senate because of certain detractors for various interests. But the realization is extremely clear to them. India is not a country in which they can be able to do what they did to Turkey. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Any of the other panelists would like to comment on this aspect? Right. We move to the next question, which is quite similar. Even though this was down the line, I have brought this question forward. How do Indian manufacturers of dual-use equipment deal with sanctions from third countries? For example, manufacturer of Indian machinery is supplying to Japan and to Syria. The Japanese government says you cannot do it. An example. So what is your advice to Indian manufacturers of such equipment? Would Mr. Soundarajan want to say something on this?
I think, as far as the this question is concerned, it is all more than banning any particular equipment. Ultimately, the end use is more important. When we are also making the textile machines and also the CNC machines, which is used for both the defense and aerospace purposes and also for automotive and various other purposes. Under those circumstances, when we export to such countries, ultimately, according to the treaty, there are certain end-use certificates which are all required. Based on the end-use certificate, we can export to those countries, and it is not impacting the manufacturers like us at this point of time.
General Gupta, would you like to say something? I mean, I did hear that Indian companies which are manufacturing or sourcing from China, they are also facing issues because China is now coming up with their own list of sanctions. Any thoughts on that, sir?
Yes, this issue is a problem. You have a system in place which is there in the defense procurement procedures to check the product for any kind of an entity from countries which we do not wish to go in for, and that is being followed. Of course, in-depth checks are difficult to do. I agree with Mr. Soundarajan on his exposition on the solution on the problem, and it is a similar kind of thing as CATSA is. There are alternate sources of avenues to do it. One must understand that the government has put in the issue of indigenization, thinking about the whole thing, and the Atmanirbharta is a key to all the issues and problems. While at the same time, we must understand that internationally, countries are going into collaboration. France and Germany are getting into a collaboration of making an FMBT, that is a futuristic main battle tank. Similarly, even Boeing or Lockheed Martin or any one of the big companies in US also do not manufacture the entire equipment themselves, especially when it is a system with systems. They have to depend upon components, assemblies, pairs, niche technology from other countries. Now, to say that you will start off from scratch and manufacture a niche technology project when it's available in a friendly country, it is not feasible to do this kind of a thing in the time frame that it comes. Technology jumps much more steps. So international collaboration is the way to go forward in defense and aerospace. And I think we are going forward in that. The fact that we want international companies to manufacture India so as to have indigenous capability while they maintain their IPR rights over it, having majority rights over the company, I think it's the best way the government has thought to be able to progress in international manufacturing capability in defense products. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Self-reliance is the key, the lesson here. We are at 11:30. I will just take two more questions. One is, this is more for Mr. Sundaram, Mr. Soundarajan, and Mr. Ramachandran. As an MSME, to get into defense manufacturing, we face a lot of problems when it comes to raising capital, acquiring skills, and acquiring orders. So any thoughts on or any advice you would like to give to a good MSME, second or third generation, supplying into global supply chains, various components in the automobile sector, for example, how or what they should do to get into defense production? Mr. Sundaram? You're on mute, sir.
sorry. And actually, existing companies like automobile, they may be doing good business and they want to enter into aerospace and defense. They can just 5-10% they can invest, and they can form a small committee, small system, and they can enter into aviation. For newcomers, really it's tough only, sir. Tough in the sense, I don't think it is not possible. It is possible. But now the MOD like clear as a make one, make two, make three, like there's so many systems they introduced, sir. Through online, they can select the product through Make in India portal and Srijan Defense portal. Like that in the portal, it is all the details are available. What is the system they are importing and what is the value, what's the quantity, and who is the nodal agency to develop the approach for developing the product, like that, sir. All the systems are available in the online itself. They can select the product and they can do it, sir. Certification and all, like earlier, it is not a problem, sir. Now the customers also handholding with us and they can help us how to get the certification, what is the status. And the CEMILAC is the agency, nodal agency for flying part. And non-flying and ground handling equipment, there are so many other agencies are there. They are all proactive now, sir. Not like earlier. Funds is concerned, fund also they are like DAAC, they are all offering for the fund at the lower rate of interest with a longer duration, sir. But the ROI, I think Dr. Surana, you may be knowing, return on investment. So we cannot get the return on investment in 6 months or 12 months. So I already discussed many times with the CMD, sir. And sir, my return on investment on defense and aerospace system maybe 24 months or 36 months. That too, it's not guaranteed. It's a risk only. Like that. And they formulated a tailor-made solution for startup industries also, sir. So it is an opportunity. Tamil Nadu as a MSME, Tamil Nadu startup industry, they can approach our TAAC and other financier to get their funds support and also. But the technology, even customers also they are providing, and we have to get and we have to tie up with IITs and other institutes and also. And after all, we need to have the passion, sir. So without passion, we cannot these things.
Soundararajan sir wanted to say something.
Yeah, actually, as Mr. Sundaram said, he has personal experience and he has explained exactly what he has undergone. And I agree with him. At the same time, straight away starting a kind of a aerospace and defense industry from the scratch without a base is definitely very challenging, because the certifications, whether it is an ISO certification or NADCAP certifications, and also the appropriate certifications from the customers, whether it is Airbus or Boeing or any of them, everyone has got their own quality standards. For them to reach those levels, it is highly time consuming. And if he is taking a kind of a loan and then subsequently working to reach that level, and it is going to be a challenge without their own funds to start with. If, as Mr. Sundaram said, it is okay when they have certain business already, and if they have patience, and as he finished with the word passion, if he has got consistent effort to make things happen, then it will work out. So that way, what is important is, you must have a company already working with some of this kind of industry, maybe automobile, maybe general engineering and other things, and then subsequently get all the certifications side by side and then make things happen, then it will be much easier. For us, the technology is concerned, that's not a big issue, because ultimately manufacturing is the same. It is only different quality specifications. There is a different specifications for auto industry, different specifications for this, aerospace industry. At the same time, the kind of documentation required and the quality infrastructure required is high. Each and every aspect needs to be documented. So that way, that is a very time consuming and a very laborious process for them to be patient to do that and get the approvals. So these are the things can happen only not just overnight, like ROI Mr. Sundaram mentioned. You need to have, frankly, deep pockets. You're on mute, Dr. Surana.
General Gupta wanted to make a point.
Yeah, Mr. Saran, I totally agree with what Mr. Sundaram has said. I just want to amplify something to do with the policy in specific. You see, projects under the MAKE category with the AON, acceptance of necessity, with not greater than 100 crores are reserved for the MSMEs and startups. It does not imply they cannot take projects above that also, but these are reserved for them. So that is a thing for them. Second is that under the IDEX, that is the Innovation for Defense Excellence, which is under the Defense Innovation Organization, you get projects for the purpose of startups and MSMEs. As also, there are the technological development funds which the DRDO provides to MSMEs for things that they want to build up on it, certain technology that they want to build up. Now, as to how MSMEs can get information, the Army Design Bureau publishes annual problem statement compendium. This gives them as to what are the projects that are basically aimed at towards MAKE categories and innovation categories. As also, there is the one-point contact for the purposes of the MSMEs and startups, and that is the director industry in the ADB. The contact details of this person is available on the website of the MOD. For the purpose of MSMEs and startup, the government has made it much more easier for them to get the information. I'm quite surprised that large volume of MSMEs don't know about the various things that have been put in to ease to make it easy for them to do business in defense, especially. That's all that.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Ramachandran, you are the president of IDAT, and can you please tell us what your organization is doing to take this information to the public, to your members, capacity building?
Sure. In fact, we pick all these. See, basically for an MSME, what are the challenges? One is, of course, specifications, approvals, finance. On each of the areas, we are running, either webinars or getting those experts to come and talk to them. So there's a lot of this kind of an educative process has been started and it's ongoing. So we will continue to do that. But I would like to make a general comment in building on whatever these three gentlemen mentioned. As Sundaram said, definitely you need passion. See, for example, we generally say that companies who are involved in making automotive parts are good to go in terms of into defense. I think there has to be, I would say, mentally one has to understand the fact that in defense the volumes are low, then the varieties are very large. So it's a very different market than the automotive market. So if I'm making automotive components in volume, I can't assume that yes, okay, I straight away go into this because the volumes will be small, my tooling costs, everything will be way, way different. I may know the technology, but I need to go into those details. And the time frame in an auto industry, you might get develop a product, get approval within 6 months and get on with your job, and that cannot be done in the defense industry. So you need to have be prepared. As Mr. Soundararajan said, you must have not only deep pocket, but you must have deep patience. So you have to work with the organizations to understand that. Third is, see, like of course we say Army is a disciplined organization. I would say that to work with defense, you must be a very disciplined organization because there are enormous number of approvals and processes required to get to the result. Now, if you try and feel that somewhere you can have a shortcut, it is not available. I think you must have a very disciplined approach, understand all the processes. Like Mr. Sundaram, you ask him the kind of processes he has gone through to come to this. It is an enormous effort he has put in, and one must be prepared to put in that effort. So you must be very open-minded, passionate, open-minded, very disciplined to succeed in this game. And it is going to take time, and there is no payback. I think Mr. Sundaram said 3 years. I'm very surprised, and I have not seen a defense industry paying back in 3 years. It is going to be a long road, but I'm sure there is a light at the end of the tunnel. But then one has to be very patient, disciplined, and a lot of business integrity is involved in doing the defense business. And I think one must be prepared for it before entering. See, you enter and then try to, oh my God, these are the problems. It's not going to help. So we always suggest to our members in any interaction that do your homework first. So I would summarize saying that you must do your homework, have an open mind, and be prepared for long cycle times. Then you will definitely succeed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ramachandran. We have crossed our time limit, but in these 101 minutes, I believe we have had a great overview. Mr. General Rohit Gupta, Mr. Jagmohan Singh, they gave us a very good overview of the Indo-American cooperation in defense sector. We had Mr. Ramachandran, Mr. Soundarajan, and Mr. Sundaram, who gave us very wonderful insights, practical insights and experience on how they have been doing things. So in these 101 minutes, I think we have covered a lot. I don't think we could have covered more. A very, very special appreciation and thanks to all our panelists. With that, I hand over to Mr. Franklin Darty for the vote of thanks. It was a wonderful session, and I think we are very proud of this session.
Thank you so much for Dr. Vinod Sorana. It is a wonderful event. I must thank IACC Chairman Mr. Arun, Ms. Sujata, the Regional Director, and Dr. Sorana, you, for organizing such a wonderful event to bring government, strategic consultant, OEM, Tier 1, and the MSME people at one stage. And I would like to thank Mr. Hansraj Verma for a wonderful support what government is going to give for the MSMEs, especially for the aerospace and defense industry. And would like to thank the strategist, Major General Rohit Gupta, giving us the points on the statistical numbers, how the industry is going forward, and what are the numbers, what are the segments will move forward on this. Thank you so much. And would like to thank Mr. Jagmohan Singh to bring on what kind of US defense opportunity available with the OEMs, how he can able to support us on that, the points. Thank you, Mr. Jagmohan Singh. And would like to thank Mr. Soundarajan for giving us the skill development points. Basically, we can bring business, but what kind of skill required to sustain that business specific to the aerospace industry? Thank you so much. And finally, I would like to thank Mr. Sundaram. He was mentioning about the word, today's keyword is become a passion. So thank you so much, sir, for bringing the MSME into this line. And I'm thanking Mr. Ramachandran, finally, who has brought, we are as IDAT industry, how it is helping the Tamil Nadu industry to get into the aerospace business. And the keyword of passion, I would like to thank all the participants, patiently listened and passion to get into the aerospace business. Thank you so much and wonderful evening. Thank you.